Hello everyone and welcome back to VCOP Council. How are we all? Hopefully all of you are having a fantastic Friday wherever we are around the world. And welcome back to yet another match preview show for you guys this evening. I know pretty much every channel, well, video on the channel I should say, is a match preview at the moment, of course, but that's the reality of it. You know, Liverpool are, pretty much playing every single 3 days now, right up until probably November time, into the international break. But still, how are we, chat? Hopefully everyone's good, and yeah, hopefully the Reds can get back to winning ways in the Premier League. Of course, last time out, you looked at Manchester United, losing down at Anfield to Manchester United. Very frustrating ordeal, but still, again, midweek performance and results, has kind of restarted everything, and hopefully now this will be the start of Liverpool, kickstarting and going back on a winning streak in the league as well. And of course, obviously the big talking points from the game itself, of course, Mohamed Salah getting dropped and other bits and pieces as well. Florian Wirtz getting 2 assists, Hugo Ekitike, Alexander Isak as well. Everyone looking quite decent on the night as well. Obviously the midfield pivot as well, we spoke about in the match reaction for Frankfurt. But of course, speaking mainly on Liverpool-Brentford, I think when you look at a team like Brentford over the years, we've had a very difficult game, home and away against Brentford. Obviously, Thomas Frank set up that Brentford team amazingly throughout the years, and now with Keith Andrews, they, again, I think this season a lot of people had Brentford going down. Some people still might have them going down. I think so far they've done really good. Again, they've done one thing better than Liverpool and beating Manchester United at home. But all jokes aside, of course, Keith Andrews has done an okay job, I think, at the moment, by levelling out that storm at the start of the season when everyone was going to say he was going to get sacked. I think so far they're above Newcastle as well in the league. So they've done very well. I think all things considered, of course, losing Thomas Frank, a huge miss for them. Of course, also losing Wisa and Mbeumo in the summer as well. I think that was also another huge impact. But I think, looking more towards this season, I think obviously one of the big names in that team is former Liverpool captain Jordan Henderson. I think, listening to a few Brentford fans and listening to a few people who have watched Brentford this season, supposedly Jordan Henderson's been a very impactful player for them this year. Of course, they've had, Igor Thiago as well, scoring goals for them up top. But I think Jordan Henderson is probably the main one. And I think people I've spoke about Jordan Henderson, I think, in depth, obviously about England and about, whether or not he should be going to the World Cup. And judging from what, I've listened to a few people and what they've had to say, it does seem to feel, that, he's done a very good job so far at Brentford. And if he continues the way, he has been going there, then maybe there might be a spot there for Jordan Henderson going into the World Cup in the year. Of course, personally, would I have him in an England squad? I'm not too sure, but still, again, it's kind of good to see Jordan Henderson doing well as well. But look, going obviously more onto Liverpool side of things, and the big question mark around Liverpool is, of course, at the moment, what's the starting 11 going to be? What's the type of team that Arne Slot's going to put out for Liverpool? And of course, during Arne Slot's press conference, we found out, didn't we, that pretty much, there's a few injury problems within Liverpool at the present moment in time. Ryan Gravenberch is still 50-50 at the moment, whether or not he's going to be featured in the squad. Again, it's highly unlikely, I would say, that he's going to start tomorrow night against Brentford, as well as Jeremy Frimpong. Jeremy Frimpong is out with a hamstring injury. I think Arne Slot still hasn't really got a real assessment yet on the severity of his hamstring problem, which hopefully won't be too long. Hopefully it will be just a 2-week injury. Again, Alisson also out. Obviously, we don't know yet how long he's going to be out till. And of course, Alexander Isak, he felt his groin, according to Arne Slot after the game, and of course they tried to micromanage that, and hopefully he will feature in the squad, but again it's something where Liverpool have to be cautious around, because again we can't really afford Alexander Isak not being available long term, as well as short term, of course, but long term, obviously with the options that Liverpool have. Again, you hope that Alexander Isak will be fine for Liverpool. But of course, the big one, I think, obviously the big talking point from the past week is around Mohamed Salah. We released a short on the channel today around Mohamed Salah, and will Mo Salah be a part of the team, and will he be in the starting 11 for Liverpool on the weekend? I personally think so. I think, look, a lot of the criticism around Mohamed Salah, I think it's fair to criticize Mo. I think Mo hasn't been at his best this season, but the abuse and all the hatred I have seen towards Mohamed Salah, in my opinion, it's not great, and it's uncalled for and unjustified in my personal opinion. Look, I think all of us can turn around and say that Mo's had a pretty poor season, so far, in terms of how, he's, numbers wise, and of course, playing wise as well. Mo's not playing great either. But, look, he is a legend of the football club. I think people have very short-term memories in football. And, of course, in football terms, 6 months is pretty much 6 years in some people's minds. But, look, Mohamed Salah is forever a Liverpool legend. And I think the hate that he has been getting on social media, I think them type of people need to give their head a wobble. I think you can, like I said, you think you can give criticism to a player and a legend, that's fair. And look, I think everyone will, even Mo himself will say, he's not playing great at the moment. But, I think, like Arne Slot said today, him not scoring goals is not the, he's not frightened of that. He will return with goals, assists, and so on as well. And look, yeah, for a player to have a dip in form for the first time in 9 years at a football club is pretty insane. And look, I'm personally confident Mo Salah will come back better. Hopefully that will be on the weekend as well. But I think when we talk about, will he be in the team? I think if Alexander Isak isn't available to start, then yeah, I think Mohamed Salah will 100% start for Liverpool tomorrow against Brentford. But still, look, I think when we talk overall for Liverpool, I think, look, obviously the performance against Frankfurt was encouraging. I think, when we talk about names in particular being a part of it, and I think when we talk about that left back position, I think, again, obviously a lot of conversation is around, who starts at left back. I think personally, if Robbo can go again, I think you put him straight back into the team. I know that Milos Kerkez, again, I think we were going to say overall, moving forward, would you rather Robbo or Milos Kerkez? Of course, I think a lot of people would say Milos Kerkez, but I think at the moment, I think you have to take him out of the limelight at the moment, and give Andy Robertson, time in that position, because like he had a very good performance, got an assist as well in midweek, and look, I think you have to play Andy Robertson based on form, and I think Robbo, again, how Liverpool maybe want to set up tactically as well, can afford to play Robbo on the weekend, because again, the likelihood of it is that Brentford are going to sit, behind the ball, try and counter Liverpool long balls, for example, again, and on the ball, probably Robbo is a bit better than Milos Kerkez at the moment in the current situation that Liverpool find themselves in. And look, for me, I think Robbo deserves to start, but also I think just pulling Milos Kerkez away from the limelight at the moment and the criticism, I think, look, for me, you give yourself a bit of time to work on it. And of course, you can obviously bring him off the bench to add a bit of energy on the left. But I think as things stand at the moment, I would personally go with Robbo. I don't know about you guys as well. But also, when we talk about squad selections and team selections, I think obviously for me as well, you have to stay with the double pivots and with Curtis Jones and Dom Szoboszlai. I think those two in particular, I thought midweek were excellent for Liverpool. Especially Curtis Jones and Dom as well. I'm going to give them both praise, because I think Arne Slot spoke about it, didn't he, after the game, about how he asked both of them to stay a bit deeper and be creative force. I think Szoboszlai, I think Dom, for me, it was a perfect example of what Dom offers a bit deeper for Liverpool, as a bit of an 8-6. And I think for me, I think Arne Slot is right in that's his best position in my opinion. I think it would be surprising whether or not we do see Dom in the 10 as much this season, because I think, again, Florian Wirtz should start for Liverpool week in, week out, because, again, you saw midweek what he did for us. And I think with Dom, I think he is better deep as well, can cover a lot of space, can press as well, a bit more deeper. And as well, I just think his vision, I think, a bit deeper is a lot better, personally, in my opinion. But I think, look, that midfield three of Florian Wirtz, Curtis Jones, and Dominic Szoboszlai, I think you go with that again for this week, for this weekend, sorry, as well. Again, I know you can add McAllister, and if Ryan Gravenberch is available, of course you can add him in, but I think you have to be consistent now in that style of how, again, we want to progress the ball a lot more, and you've got three very capable midfielders. They were progressing the ball through passes, and of course their dribbling technique as well. I think you can obviously do that as well. But I think for starting 11 predictions, of course, let me know yours in the comments down below. But I think if we're going to talk about it, in my opinion, this is the team I personally am going for tomorrow night. I think, again, Mamardashvili keeps his place because obviously Ali is not available. Conor Bradley, Ibu Konate, Virgil van Dijk, and Andy Robertson, Curtis Jones, Dom Szoboszlai, and Florian Wirtz. And then, again, front three, Mohamed Salah, Hugo Ekitike, and Cody Gakpo. I think out of the front three, personally, I think Hugo Ekitike is the first name on the team sheet as well. I thought, again, brilliant game against Frankfurt. And this season, he has been brilliant whenever called upon. So hopefully he can bag another goal or two tomorrow night anyway. But for me as well, I'm going to go Liverpool. I'm going to go 2-0. I think, look, clean sheet away from home, what are we talking about? But I think obviously what happened midweek as well, when we were a bit more control on the ball as well. I think that's what you have to do a bit more. Obviously, Brentford will come at us at times, but I do think, again, us being a bit more controlled in games and creating chances as well, I think, again, that will be a huge factor against Brentford, who are a very difficult team. But I'm going to go 2-0. I'm going to go Florian Wirtz. I'm going to go Mo Salah to get goals for Liverpool. Hopefully it is a bit more as well. That's not a lie around it, but hopefully Liverpool will get and grab a few goals by tomorrow night anyway. But let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments as well. Let me know your thoughts on starting 11 predictions, score predictions, and so on as well. Of course, be very intrigued to know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section down below. And of course, I will reply back to all of you guys' comments as well. And hopefully, I'll speak to you tomorrow live for a post-match reaction where Liverpool will be winning and hopefully back to winning ways in the Premier League. But until next time, that's going to be it from me. I've been Connor from the Kickoff Council. We'll see you guys a bit later on. Ta-ra.